ask me all the time, well, what are you most proud of? In your economic record, I say this, that 100 times as many people work their way from poverty into the middle class in those 8 years. That's Barack Obama's program. So the funny thing, what's Mr. Romney's budget? Because he keeps saying how terrible the debt is. Every campaign spot, they say, oh, the debt's terrible. And he started in the West to say, well, it did quadruple before Bill Clinton became president, under the Republican president. And then when he left, after 4 surplus budgets, they doubled it again. My party did. And so I'm going to do exactly what previous presidents did. And he said, I'm going to cut taxes $5 trillion. I'm going to spend $2 trillion more in defense spending than depending on one. I'm going to spend nearly another $1 trillion on other things that aren't in Obama's budget. And I have identified $1 trillion worth of savings that will enable us to cut the corporate tax rates and make corporations pay more even taxes. That's a good idea. That is, manufacturers pay 35%, Exxon pays 17%. You want it to be a lower rate competitive with other countries where the job creators here actually get the break. Problem is, that's in President Obama's plan too. That leaves Mr. Romney with more than $6 trillion of tax cuts and spending unaccounted for, and he's promising to balance the budget quicker than Obama. So we asked him, well, Governor, how are you going to do that? And he says, I'm a business guy. Well, show me the numbers. See me about that after the election. Well, he doesn't want to say it. I'm going to have to make drastic cuts in education. I'm going to make drastic cuts in research and development. I'm going to make drastic cuts in water infrastructure to give economic opportunity for everybody. I'm going to do things that you will hate. But hey, I've got to give the wealthiest Americans another tax cut. Now that's it. That's your choice. Now, he keeps talking about how he wants to bring America together. And let's just look at 5 things real quick. I'll tell you all you know about this election. Barack Obama signed the Little Better Fair Play Act. This is not just a women's issue. Every man who's ever been married to a woman who works for a living wants equal pay for being a woman. One thing George W. Bush said I really agree with. You got to make fun of him, but he told the truth. He said the president is the decider-in-chief. You know what he said? You got to decide. You can't say about that after the election. So they asked Dr. Romney, well, how would you have reacted? Would you have signed the Little Red Better Fair Play Act? Because it's already was. How hard is this to say yes, I would have signed it or I would have vetoed it? He wouldn't give an answer. Why? Because his idea of bringing us together is to cave into his far right and they're against it. 1, 2, national security. He said, oh, I just want to make peace in the world. But his main advisors are the neoconservatives who use bad intelligence to get this country into the Iraq War. Iraq is bringing the troops up from Afghanistan, has put together a great national security team, including the Secretary of State. He has committed to taking care of the men and women of the military when they come home. Immigration, when the president couldn't get immigration reform passed, and in fairness, the Republicans used to be for this. George W. Bush was for a good immigration bill. He said, all right, I'm sick of this. I'm going to let these young people who came to this country when they were kids stay in America. If they go to college or serve in the military, we need the young people in America. No. Look at the student loan bill. I just described it to you. That student loan reform saves you $60 billion. It's $60 billion cheaper than the old system, and it's better for the kids. What did Obama do with the $60 billion? He used the money to fund Pell Grant increases to keep up with inflation and to guarantee the tuition tax credits, like the whole tax credit for middle-class families so people can continue to go to school after high school. I couldn't make this up. Romney says we're spending too much money, wants to repeal the student loan reform, give the $60 billion back to the banks, make the loans more expensive, make them harder to repay, let us continue to drop in the global rankings of graduates, not guarantee the Pell Grant or the tax credit. What else do you need to know on that alone for Russell Harvard? Positions on Medicare and Medicaid. Romney says he's saving Medicare because he's going to put $716 billion back in it that President Obama stole from him. It's very awkward for him because his running mate, Paul Ryan, did the same thing. Now, Ryan spent the money on tax cuts for upper income people. Obama spent the money on their health care. But they both did it. Why? Because a panel of medical experts, including doctors, said that you got way too much inflation in this Medicare care budget for the next 10 years. Medicare Advantage is not going to need this much money. You know what Medicare Advantage is? It's where you join Medicare and you let an insurer give you care because they also give you preventive care. And the idea is that preventive care keeps you healthier and lowers the cost. But to get people in the first place, they had to pay them more. When President Bush started his program, they were paying them 85% more. Way too much. So even under the Republicans, they cut it. So all President Obama did was cut it down to 114% of what you get from Medicare anyway. Most small businesses in this area would do just about anything to have a guaranteed 14% profit margin from now to the time. Wouldn't they? Okay. So he didn't rip off Medicare. He took the advice of experts. And the AARP supported it. And nobody lost anything. There are more people joining the program, and the cost is down, and Medicare is good till 2024 now. If Romney's plan gets its way, he'll give the money to providers only, nothing to people on Medicare, and Medicare will go broke in 2016 instead of 2024. Follow the money. Now look at Medicare. Where there are no insurers in the way, we just pay the people to provide the health care. It's the most efficient health care program, lower administrative overhead. Poor kids get Medicaid, but most of them are in working families whose incomes are low and they could not work and raise their kids if they didn't have insurance for their children on Medicare. But 60% of the money goes to two other groups. First, seniors on Medicare who don't have any money left but are in nursing homes, and Medicaid pays the nursing home bill. They want to cut this by a third over 10 years. Who's going to insure those poor kids? Who's going to decide whether Aunt Mary or Aunt Lonnie gets kicked out of the nursing home? But they got to do it to give me another tax cut. And worst of all, the third group in Medicaid are families with children with disabilities, with autistic conditions, or cerebral palsy, or muscular dystrophy, or developmental disabilities. They are blessings from God, but they cost more. And their parents very often have really comfortable middle-class incomes, but they could not go to work in the morning if someone weren't helping them. How can we live in a country that is